This is the clip for exercise 3c. Compute the derivative of this function here. So let's write it down again. What we have first is a term 3 divided by x squared plus 4 plus a second term e to the power of 5x. So what I could do here is write this as 3 times x squared plus 4 to the power of minus 1. That's actually the same. Plus e to the power of 5x. And then I use the so-called chain rule. What is the chain rule? The chain rule is if I have a function of a function, so which is kind of what we have, here and here. What do I mean by a function of a function? You see, let's look at this again. We have a function here, x squared plus 2, and when we're done with that, on top of this, I apply another function, which is 1 divided by my result times 3. Here's the same. I start with a function 5x, and then on top of that, I apply another function, which is e to the power of this result. Yeah? So maybe you seen this the chain rule function at sowieso or from high school. So let's use this notation here. So if we have v of u of x, then we call u the inner function and v the outer function. In our case, when we first discuss this function here the inner function would be u of x would be x squared plus 4. And then what is v? V means that on top of that I take the result and take the ratio of this result and multiply it by 3. Okay, so and the chain rule says if we want to take the derivative of this composition of function, then it's the outer derivative times the inner derivative. Okay, so what does this mean for these functions here? So the inner derivative, so the derivative of this one here would be 2x plus 0, so just 2x. And the derivative of this function here would be v dash of u is equal to minus 1 times 3 times u to the power of minus 2, or minus 3 divided by u squared, which is equal to minus 3 divided by x squared plus 4. Okay, so then we apply this here. So let's start here. So f dash of x, now apply the chain rule to this first term. So the chain rule is then this result here, because it's the first factor here. So this first result would be the outer derivative is minus 3 divided by x squared plus 4. And then I have to multiply it by the inner derivative, and the inner derivative is just as 2x. Okay, plus, and now I do the very same thing, outer derivative and inner derivative, for the second term, for this e to the power of 5x. And how does this work? Let's see. It's the very same principle. So here, the inner function, so the function with which I start first, is this 5x here. So this is the inner function. And the outer function is that when I'm done with the inner function, I take this result and put it e to the power of this result. So the outer function is then e to the power of u. And if I wanted to apply the chain rule, Then I have to compute the derivative of the inner function, and this is just 5. And the derivative of the outer function is the same. This is a specialty of the exponential function. It's equal to its own derivative. Okay, so this would be then e to the power of 5x. Okay, so if I apply now to this term here, outer derivative times the inner derivative, then here is the outer derivative, it's e to the power of 5x times the inner derivative is 5. And let's see whether we can simplify this a little bit. So for example here, here we have 3 and 2, so I could write this, and I could put the x also in the numerator, so this is then minus 6x divided by x squared plus 4 plus, and here's nothing to simplify, well, it's a matter of taste, this is just cosmetics, we could write this as 5 times e to the power of 5x.